Today on Asian Food Nerd, the story behind food brands, we're going to be exploring the awesome Gordon Ramsay and just how he broke the internet. Before we begin, here are some fun facts about Gordon Ramsay. He has a black belt in karate. He has 5 children. At 31, Ramsay opened his first restaurant in London. He has competed in more than 15 marathons. He has big feet, US size 16. But before we start, hit that subscribe button so you will never miss a new video. 3, 2, 1. Big thanks. And make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video, where I share some tips on how you can be the next YouTube food star. Gordon Ramsay, celebrated chef around the world, iconic television personality and writer. But how did he rise to such meteoric fame? Today on Asian Food Nerd, we are going to examine and dissect the life of Gordon Ramsay and discover how his fiery persona won fans around the world over. Chapter 1. Troubled Beginnings. For us to understand Gordon Ramsay's iconic character, we must dive into his past a little bit. Gordon Ramsay was born in the Scottish town of Johnstone on the 8th of November 1966. At the age of 9 years old, his family and himself immigrated to England. Gordon Ramsay himself described his early childhood as hopelessly itinerant, and blamed most of this on his father, whom he described as a hard-drink womaniser. His abusive father would eventually lead him to moving out at the age of 16. Being from the working class, Gordon Ramsay had to work as a dishwasher, which is how most young chefs begin their culinary careers. This, however, was never Gordon's dream. He dreamt of being a professional football player. Soccer for our American fans. Gordon Ramsay, surprisingly to most, was a naturally gifted player that dreamed of playing for the Glasgow Rangers. And at just the age of 12, he was already playing in the under-14 division for the Oxford United youth team, and at 15 had been scouted by the Glasgow Rangers. However, his dream was cut short. Injuries, and especially a serious knee injury, ended his blossoming football career. So, Gordon Ramsay had to find a new passion. Chapter 2. Culinary Training. After his football career was cut short, Gordon focused his attention to the culinary arts. At 19, he enrolled at the North Oxfordshire Technical College to study hotel management. By the mid-1980s, he was working as a common chef at the Roxton House Hotel. Next, Gordon packed his bags and left for London. He worked in several restaurants. Gordon has stated that he was appalled at the state of laziness of cooking in London until finally landing at the doorsteps of another infamously fiery chef, Marco Pierre White. Gordon, under the tutelage of Marco Pierre White, honed his culinary skills. Marco Pierre White was instrumental in bringing about Gordon's potential. However, Marco's intense mood swings had led Gordon to quit and then return time and time again. Gordon managed to survive working under Marco Pierre White for just under 3 years. Gordon had stated that he had grown tired of the rages and the bullying and violence. It sounds a little funny coming out of Gordon's mouth, as he would later become hugely famous on TV for that very reason. Gordon Ramsay believed to further advance his career, he had to study French cuisine, the epitome of fine dining. So, during the early 90s, he traveled to France, where he learned and studied classic French cuisine under the guidance of master chefs Joël Robuchon and Guy Savoy for roughly 3 years. After France, Gordon was burned out. The physical and mental stress of working in such a demanding industry had begun taking its toll on the young Gordon. He decided he needed to take a break from fine dining and worked as a personal chef on a private yacht named the Idlewild for a year. Here, he could unwind in a sense and was able to dabble in Italian cuisine, which just added to his repertoire of cooking skills. After that break from the culinary world, Gordon Ramsay's notoriety in the cooking world began to really take off. Marco Pierre White came back into his life by offering him the opportunity to become a head chef at the restaurant Aubergine. And with that, he was awarded his very first Michelin star. Now, I do not have to tell you how massive of an accomplishment being awarded a Michelin star is. It is the pinnacle of the culinary arts. And Gordon Ramsay did not just get one, he got several. However, after a dispute with the ownership of Aubergine, Gordon Ramsay decided to set out on his own and open his own restaurants. In 1998, at the young age of 31, Ramsay set up his first entirely owned restaurant called Restaurant Gordon Ramsay in Chelsea. And in 2001, just 3 years later, he received 3 Michelin stars. A little side note, Gordon was the first Scot to be awarded 3 Michelin stars. Gordon would continue to expand his fine dining empire with restaurants all over the world. Chapter 3: Media Titan. While in the culinary world, Gordon Ramsay was well established and, to be honest, slightly feared due to his confrontational personality, he was not a household name to the general public. That is, until he launched his hit British television series, Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, in 2004. Another well-received show was Hell's Kitchen. This is where we got to finally meet the fiery and somewhat abusive persona of Gordon Ramsay. This persona, of course, would lead viewers to return week in and week out to witness extreme language Gordon would hurl at contestants. In 2005, Ramsay was introduced to the American audience with the American spin-off of Hell's Kitchen. Here, the American audience was introduced to his infamously short temper. While reality TV shows were not new in the industry, Gordon offered a rare glimpse into the pressure and somewhat toxic environment of working in the pressure cooker industry of fine dining. And while most would say that his behavior was abusive, it did not stop viewers from tuning in on a weekly basis, with some of his shows becoming one of the most watched television shows at the time. Ramsay continued his media fame with shows like The F Word, a play on words with food and his favorite 4-letter word. What a mystery. Other shows that he featured and starred in were Gordon Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back, Master Chef, Ramsay's Best Restaurant, Hotel Hell, Gordon Ramsay's Uncharted, and many guest appearances on other shows. Gordon has also dabbled in writing, with several cookbooks released as well as his autobiography. And while many TV reality stars begin to lose popularity over time, Gordon has been able to maintain massive popularity with new reality shows that have taken a lighter, almost mischievous spin on his character. He has pretty much adapted to the palette of new viewers with a less abusive, serious persona and reinvented himself as a more carefree character. Of course, the old Gordon Spice does rear his head from time to time, which always reminds the viewer, Gordon is still a hot-headed chef at heart. Thanks for staying till the end. Here are 3 tips to share that we learned. 1. Be disciplined. Gordon was a trained athlete and took his discipline very seriously and brought it to the kitchen. Whether you're an aspiring chef or a YouTube star, you will need discipline. Being disciplined will take you through the hard times. 2. Get things off your chest. He wrote in a Reddit AMA, Ask Me Anything. He said that his mom taught him to speak his mind. He believes that it is a good and healthy way to work. 3. Avoid burnout. If you are thinking of entering the culinary world in a way that Gordon did, firstly, it is hot in the kitchen. The pressure and workload that is connected to that industry is not for the faint of heart. You must be willing to put in the work and deal with some interesting characters, to say the least. So, if you burnt out, consider taking a step back to rest and recover for a short period. This could reinvigorate you and lead to a higher sense of motivation. Bonus tip: be relevant across generations. Gordon Ramsay is 56 years old, but understands that in order to grow his media empire, he utilizes social media platforms such as YouTube to reach audiences from young to more mature. He did a collab with the youngest MasterChef contestant, Nick DiGiovanni, who was only 26. Be sure to watch Nick's video tasting Gordon Ramsay's beef Wellington. Better yet, check out our Nick DiGiovanni video. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for our next video. Please also leave in the comment section which food brands you would like us to cover next. Asian Food Nerd, the story behind food brands.